Mr. Panjar, Mr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Agnihotri, Dr. Anil Garg, delegates, friends, if we recall the fifth World Renewable Energy Conference, and after that the announcement of 100 gigawatt, and between that the working between 100 gigawatt to 175 gigawatt, whether we can do or not do. So this journey is now a clear-cut commitment from the government, and I take it more from the stakeholders. Because we see the 175 gigawatt, which is a clear commitment in the renewable energy space. And if we take the solar photovoltaic, it's 100 gigawatt, which is to be done by 2022. And the kind of enthusiasm you're seeing, the way you have heard in the inaugural session, I think it will be done way before, could be 2020. Another thing, if we see, earlier we used to say that it's a privileged energy, but today it is not the privileged energy. Of course, if we own solar, yes, we feel privileged, but in terms of cost, it's not a privileged one now. So as far as grid parity is concerned, the way it is being thought of 2017, it could even be before. As far as REL is concerned, it is the Mini Ratna PSU. We work under administrative control of Department of Heavy Industry. And we are one of the oldest PV manufacturing company in the country, 30 years old company. We have seen all pain and pleasure of the growing PV industry in the country. And we are standing today very pleasantly, very happily. So when the country was doing 2 megawatt, we were happy those days with the demonstration programs, doing some pilots, taking electricity to the person who is sitting in a village in sand dunes, taking electricity to the village where the people are in the Adivasi region. So out of the 2 megawatt, we did those kind of pilots, and when it raised to 2 gigawatt, we did some more, some better pilots. And those pilots were mostly into the off-grid space. We did the largest off-grid solar solution of 11 megawatt that was spread over 3.5 lakh square kilometer in the state of Rajasthan over locations of 9,400. And when we were given this mandate by Government of India and Government of Rajasthan, just one thing which came to my mind and the management then in REIL, that how to monitor the project. Because this was the project of 300 crore, 11 megawatt, 5 years before. You can just think of it. It was something mind-blowing, which was never thought. So what we did, REL is one company which uses electronics, information technology, and of course renewable energy, we are there. So we developed a web-enabled solution for the complete governance of the project, from construction to commissioning. Government has taken a mandate to construct Atal Seva Kendras now. Earlier it was the Bharat Nirman Rajiv Gandhi Seva Kendra. So the aim was to connect the rural to the urban and bridging the gap between the rural and urban. And the key factor which was seen was the energy. So as I said that we developed a web-enabled solution which had 24/7 environment, and the solution is still working. The beneficiary can lodge his complaint, can get the complaint redressed. Not only this, from construction to commissioning, entire project could be seen by all the stakeholders, government, we as an industry, the beneficiary, and everybody in the country. The another thing which we experimented was done in railways. At Katra railway station, we did the 1 megawatt rooftop on the platform. That was also another project which was done in tune with the today's requirement. And that has given a big thought, a big business for railways to convert their all the platforms into the solar generating stations and providing that energy to the rural areas and making their stations, their entire business sustainable through energy. In the morning, energy conservation was being talked. We migrated from fluorescent lights, which was being used in street lights and in other lights, to CFL and now to LED. Just one thought, LED. We can bring the lighting load, which is the 30% of the total energy consumption in the country, we can bring it down to the 20% of that 30%. So you can just think of just by taking one technology innovation and using that concept in our lighting domain, we can do a lot of energy conservation. So over these years, 30 years, what has we have seen in common was that solar photovoltaic technology, though wind was there, thermal was there, but we found that solar PV was the most reliable, most dependable, and now more user friendly also. And particularly when we talk in the context of our own country. Another important aspect we always saw was the DISCOMs. They were eyeing on all such initiatives. When our team used to visit the village, we could see that the poles are lying there, wires are lying there, but there is no light, no connection, no transmission laid there, and that happened years together. So DISCOM story has always been a cause of major concern during this entire journey. And if I say, today the DISCOM is the major concern in everybody's mind when it comes to the business model, particularly being done by the private companies. Probably we need to take hard steps. We need to make them responsible. We need to educate them. We need to tell them that you have to earn your salary as the other industry does. As far as regulatory framework is concerned, a lot has already spoken by the earlier speaker, but still I would like to touch few points which I feel is very, very relevant. You know, this regulatory framework I take that it is still evolving, though they have a central electricity regulatory commission, they have central regulatory authority, and they have the state regulation, they have joint regional regulation also, and they have already come out with the renewable energy policy, the state renewable policies, the RPOs mechanism, feed-in tariffs, REC mechanism. Though everything is there, but it requires a complete dynamism in tune with the business environment to be studied in a dynamic mode. Not even quarter, could be monthly. Because these things have happened the way Germany has done 37 gigawatt. It took them just 3 years. And they revamped their all DISCOMs, TRANSCOMs, and of course the other utility and the beneficiary. The entire tracking, the evolving and the developing the regulatory framework which is in tune with the today's requirement, which is in tune with the future requirement, particularly in terms of forecasting. Regulatory issues primarily include, in my opinion, the pricing, the backup power. I think it has already been explained in earlier, so I'll not touch much on this. The licensing and the siting. When it comes to large scale generation, when it comes to smaller scale and rooftop, we need to evaluate the contemporary policies. where we need to study also whether it should be subsidy driven or it should not be subsidy driven. So I believe that regulatory setup need to look at more. Cost recovery mechanism. Why only it should be the domain of the stakeholder, the businessman? Why it should not be of the regulatory bodies? They should see that how the investor will recover his cost. The pricing studies, of course, the very, very important, and that's already reflecting in terms of net metering and feed-in tariff. Categorically, if we see the issues which are, the variable renewable energy generation is already being done and it is being taken care. But what I feel is it should be done in integrated models so that we can take care of all the energy resources in particular geography, whether it's the bio, the thermal, or the photovoltaic. More important is the ensuring adequate grid infrastructure. It's a very, very key issue. And it's very, very relevant to the investor. I made a visit to Andaman. My earlier speaker was speaking about Andaman. And I've seen the 5 megawatt plant which is installed there. It was little shocking to me that the solar plant which is generating 5 megawatt disturbed the grid many times in the year. And the reason was the grid which they had was only handling 400 kilowatt generation in that particular area. They were not having that kind of transmission and distribution network because the entire island is on diesel power generation. So here my emphasis is that we all are stakeholders, amongst us could be few businessmen also. So wherever you're going and doing the projects, you must see whether the environment will sustain your initiative or not. Otherwise, whatever investment you're making, tomorrow it may so happen that government or the beneficiary can say, sorry, you have disturbed our entire system, or the situation has disturbed the system. So as an experienced businessman, we should always look at the impact of our initiative, whether it will really pay back to us or not. So it was really an eye-opener to me. And not many steps are being taken in Andaman and Lakshadweep, and it's being aimed now that to convert this entire island to make the diesel-free island, which I don't think will be a big issue. Because if we take the solar power with a 30% storage space, it will not cost more than 15 to 16 rupees, which is much, much lower than the 30 rupees a unit in case of diesel power generation. So it will save environment also. So adequacy of grid infrastructure is very, very relevant when we go ahead for any kind of renewable energy power generation setup. Ensuring short-term security of supply, particularly in terms of flexibility. Ensuring long-term security of supply, particularly when it is related to the resource adequacy. Now, how do we do it? Whatever renewable energy tariffs we have, it should be matched, aiming to promote the investment. We should always keep on checking those. And again, the regulatory bodies are much more relevant to this. And stakeholders should always raise the voice. The common risk management approach in terms of network uses, the minimum transmission expansion, the feeder innovation, as I said earlier, the distributed grid can also improve the situation. Flexibility in supply is another initiative which we can think of. The long-term security is, as I said earlier, it is also very, very important, and that would require the large-scale investment. So we have also seen the investors who are eyeing this 100 gigawatts, so there should not be any dearth on that. The most important is energy efficiency, which will take care of the energy conservation aspect as well. Now, we are the way forward. As you heard about the Chandigarh success story has already cleared a roadmap of 100 smart cities. Now, this 100 smart cities, we can do many more things where I would like to map my ideas with these 100 smart cities. As our Honorable Prime Minister always say that skill, scale, speed, if we can do, it will definitely bring the sustainability, and same is here. The RPO enforcement, and at the same time, the behavior of DISCOMs need to be under check. The Make in India has to be aligned with this growth, otherwise we will be completely failure. From crystal to cell to module to storage to electronics to structure and to services. You can just think of the industry which is of 600,000 crore. I'm just talking of 100 gigawatt. And if we can create a manufacturing space of 20 gigawatt, so that's an industry of around 1 lakh crore manufacturing. So when this manufacturing will come, it will generate a lot of employability, it will generate sustenance, it will generate that India which can ultimately rule the world. I keep on listening from the people that Chinese things are not that expensive. In the morning, I heard that US things are also not expensive. Canadian things are also not expensive. But my point is, as a manufacturer point of view, that if these things are done in India at those scales, it will definitely be not expensive as it is in those countries. So I think all the steps should be taken, particularly as regards to the Make in India, creating the manufacturing from crystal to the module, and storage also. Storage is very relevant to our country because in our country, we need power at a place where the power is to be used. So without having the storage facility, we cannot sustain with solar power. DCR, domestic consumption requirement, is already there. It has to be more, maybe the percentage could be reduced. Integrated solar manufacturing, which is already being planned in many solar farms. I suggest that this could be one of the key mantra in smart cities also. When we'll target manufacturing, innovation and R&D, both will be the path. They will be the roadmap. So entire innovation which is completely missing for last 3 decades in the country, they will be at the required level. One more very important thing, the test laboratories across the country. Whatever is landing in the country, nobody is aware. We just quoted it, see where the things are available, buy those things in terms of megawatt, and just deploy those things. I have seen in Rajasthan, the thin film, whatever was installed in 2011, after a year, 40% was replaced. That happened only in one plant, not in all the plants. So I don't say that thin film is not good, but what is more relevant to us is that we should have the test laboratories across the country. If we have the test laboratories, we have the innovation centers, we have the research and development base, we do the manufacturing, I don't think there will be any reason that why we cannot grow to achieve 100 gigawatt and why, and with the total solar space in the world, maybe 700, 800 gigawatt. Benchmarking of domestic produce with the global standards always. Yes, that's will keep us our eye and ear open. MNRE budgets, suddenly I'm finding that they are being excused. It should not be. See, earlier we were doing 2 megawatt. The entire budget was being provided by MNRE. We did 2000 megawatt. Budget to the tune of almost 1200 megawatt was being provided. Now we are eyeing 100 gigawatt. Why not the 20,000 megawatt budget being provided by MNRE, which can help all these initiatives? We probably need a smart system, something similar to recently launched by the Google for US, to look at our land space available, to look at our roof space available, which can be auctioned, which can be provided to the investors in a real-time mode. So today, if I have an idea that I want to do my solar business in, say, 50 kilometers from Delhi towards Rajasthan, then yes, I should be in position to know that how much roof space is available, how many people are wanting to offer their roofs for solar power generation. And it's not very difficult. The skill development is another important need. Skill development will bring a lot of employability also. So at the end, I'll only say that what we need is that monitoring of all the projects in 24 into 7 mode, whatever we do, let it be through the smart reforms, let it be through the smart economy-based energy, smart and sustainable environment, smart and health people we are going to have. But what we need is probably the smart governance, which will govern the project, which will govern ourselves. Thank you. Thank you very much.